Hello, everyone. So today I have my intake on the public image of a nurse, and I hope you guys enjoy it. This is one quote that I like from Maya Angelou, and it's just pretty much explaining that nurses have the opportunity to heal the hearts, minds, and souls and bodies of our patients, families, and ourselves, and that they may forget our names, but they'll never forget how we feel. Nurses are not going to always be remembered by their names, but one thing that a patient is going to remember is how that person made them feel. And our job is to care for patients and to be knowledgeable and experts of how to properly care for that patient and to also be able to care and educate for families. And that is the way that we can bring a patient into wellness, because a lot of times patients are in a very difficult place in their life, and it is our responsibility to make sure that their needs are met to bring them to wellness. So these are four components that I find to be very important in nursing, and one of those, and the four are innovation, avocation, education, and leadership. These are the four components that without them, there's no nursing. Innovation is the first to be able to identify issues in healthcare practice. Nurses are in the forefront, and so in order to address issues, you have to be able to identify them. You have to have that keen eye, that keen sense of knowledge to be able to identify those issues. You have to be the first to notify those disciplines. A lot of times other disciplines are not going to pay attention unless the nurse brings it to their attention. And we have to be the first to learn and assess current healthcare practices. We have to be able to evaluate if they're working or if they're not. I mean, if it's not broken, you don't have to fix it. But at the same time, if it's something better, then let's expose it and let's be those creators that we need to be. Advocacy. The one quote that I liked that in our reading was to evaluate and restructure healthcare policies. Healthcare policies provide us with that foundation to be able to do what we need to do. But a lot of times, again, as I said in that avocation component, if it's not working, then we can't, then we need to fix it. So it is important that we incorporate ADPI as well as into not only for our patients, but into the policy component of nursing. And that's going to be, you have to assess that situation. You have to be able to intervene and implement, and you got to evaluate it so it can be changed. And the one way to do that is for funding. So nurses have to be able to research, to be able to find funding to determine these effective care practices, because if funding is not provided, it's very difficult to care for a patient with limited resources. And again, going back into reimbursements, you have to be able to have funding for care. So without funding, we can't care for patients. We can't lead them to wellness. We cannot provide them with what they need. And we deal with patients with various social, economic statuses, various financial situations. So it is important to make sure that we have the necessities possible to care for them. And so my biggest motto, and this was my motto as a teacher, and I believe in this as a nurse, you have to always remain a student. And the only way that you really learn something is by teaching. So as a nurse, you have to remain a student and maintain involvement with healthcare changes and nursing changes. You have to be flexible. You have to be open to learning, and you have to be open to teaching those new things to your patients, to other nurses, and to other disciplines. You have to be able to, again, ADPI, assess, intervene, implement, and evaluate those nursing issues. And you have to be able to use your voice, find that power that's inside of you to bring those issues to a political platform, because those issues also affect our policies in the hospitals and how we care for our patients. So leadership. Again, this is going back into the student teaching dynamic. You have to be able to be, teachers are leaders, but again, they have to be students, they have to be followers. So I believe that as far as leadership is concerned, nurses have to still not only be experts, but be willing to learn within their specialty. They have to also be able to connect with patients, and they have to be able to connect with all other nurses and disciplines. They have to be able to take that information in order to minimize risk factors in the environment so that the patient can get well and return to their normal lives. So I can't have a quote without having Florence Nightingale. So I just pretty much consolidated this quote. I really like this part. How can I provide for this right thing to be always done? And that's always what's in our minds when we're thinking about power. Power is not about control. It's not about ownership or anything like that. It is about, in our case, figuring out what is best for that person. How can I take this information and expose it in order for it to be done? And one way we can do this is through mentorship. We have to support each other. We have to be willing to share the information. Power is not power without connectedness, without networking. And so it's individualized, and it's definitely, we all have to role model that mentorship amongst each other. Whether you are a rookie nurse or an experienced nurse, it is important to make sure that you're sharing that information that you learned and gathered so that it can be exposed, so that power within the healthcare field can be established as far as the nurses are concerned, as far as the patients. So I believe that for power to be effective, you have to be the change that you desire. And so again, going back into that networking component, you have to be able to build coalitions. You have to be able to network with the community. The community will not comply if we do not participate in it. And among nursing power is participation in the community. And if the community sees you, then they're going to be willing to adhere to whatever you have to say because they know you care. They know that that you want to be there. And so this is my personalized quote. I believe that the public image of a nurse is to use the power that is inside to advocate, lead, and educate the community, mentor future nurses, and innovate the social change healthcare needs to prosper patients to wellness. Because that's really what it's all about. It's about guiding and directing and making sure that a patient is knowledgeable about their health status and doing whatever it takes to lead them into a space where they can live in society and also participate in healthcare or in anything social. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.